Hello, I'm Greg Bornstein, the CEO of GBQ Solutions, and I'm here today to show you our GBQ Solutions data framework. So as soon as I open our little VDAT app here, you can see this front screen that shows the validator, create mapping, edit runner, check DB, database, and run the VDAT, or the validation engine. So we'll start with the validator and show you how it can ingest the file, ingest the data from the file, and show it to you in a format that's broken apart. So if I choose my layout here, go to my desktop, check my sample files, look at the 837 fix files in this case, and I'm going to choose a layout. In this case, this is my layout, the 837i layout. As you can see, I have all these tokens. So I hit my three dots here. It takes my tokens and puts them all over onto the other side. I click this button here to choose a sample file. Go to my desktop again. I'll go to the sample files, and this time I'm going back to the 837 fix files here and choosing a sample file. Once I've done that, I can hit this validate button up here, and as soon as I do, as you can see, everything in that file shows up on the screen. And just to show you that it's accurate, I'm going to open that file for you as soon as I can here. And go to my desktop, sample files, 37 fix files, and you look at the sample file, and you can see here all of the data that it's picking up. ISA, in this field, 00, 0, and then 00 over here with nothing in between again, and then ZZ, etc. on down, and you can see it picks up all of the data from this particular claim file. The other thing that you can do, if you just want to look at a specific field, you can look at a specific field here. You also can see if exists anything from a regular expression here and put that in for applying it. This particular tool can be utilized for file governance and utilized with Jenkins as well to evaluate files coming into the system in large batches to make sure that you're actually working with specific 837s with specific data in them. Layouts can be created specifically for all of these things. So I am going to go back now to my application here. I'm going to hit back to home. That's the validator portion of our application. I'm going to skip over create mapping and go directly to edit mapping and hit proceed. And what comes up here is this entry screen where you choose whether you want to do a file-to-file compare or a file-to-database comparison. The file-to-database comparison, in this case, has a couple existing mapping documents already available. I'm going to choose the second one here. As you can see, all sorts of data pops up on your screen. Those same tokens that I had in the file before, I'm showing to the left here. So the ISA01, which brought out the ISA, and then you had the 00 that it mapped to, etc. So this is how it recognizes each iteration in the file, the specific variables for the data. Over here, I am mapping this to a database. And you can choose here which database you want to map it to. You can have multiple databases. So let's say you want to have this field mapped to, you want it mapped directly to this value ISA, which is a value that will always be there. So this is just a text value. The second value I'm actually selecting from the database with a query here. And you can use complex queries within our tool to get specific data and nail down exactly what you need. So I'm just going to go back here and go back to home now that you've seen the mapping document that shows each field in here, and you can also add tokens. So say I want to map this field to multiple databases, I can do so. So I would just choose that same ISA01, choose a different database for it over here, and it would map to a different associated database. And I could put in a second query here as well, whatever I want. I just, work with that however I want to work with the data and how it works with my applications. So I'm going to go back to home. I'm not saving this. And I'm going to show you how you run our validation, because creating the mapping will take a significant amount of time, and in the end you end up with what you see in the edit mapping. I already have an existing mapping doc. So I'm going to go run my framework here by hitting proceed up here. I'm going to choose file to database to run. You can either choose file to file or file to database. The data worksheet I'm going to work with is the second one here. The database connection I'm going to choose is the Vita MySQL, because that's my database. If I had multiple databases, it will automatically run through the file. I'm going to choose just one iteration, and then I am going to choose the sample file I want to run against. In this case, I'm going to run against this sample file down here in the same fashion. So I hit choose sample file. I go to desktop. I look at my sample files, and I am going to choose the sample file in the 837 here, and then I will hit run. Now when I do this, it is actually doing a validation with the database and the file you just saw. So it is taking the data from the file, and it is going to compare it each iteration. And in this case, we're only comparing one iteration, but if you had a larger file, it would compare as many iterations as you choose, and if you were to put a 0 here, it will do all of them. So now you can see in here that it's giving you all sorts of data. I push here to give a better look at it, and it shows what passed and what failed. So you have passed in one iteration, and it shows all the failures and the passes. So you can see these two match up, it passed. This matched up, it passed. LHS stands for left-hand side. Usually the file is the left-hand side. RHS stands for right-hand side, which is the database. And as you can see, they compare directly here, so this is a passing test. And it goes through each and every input of data all the way down. You see some failed where you get a P and a T here. That does not match, so it's going to fail the data. So if I want to see the actual report, I can look at Pepperware Logs mapping generator here. So if I pull my actual log file up and go to the C, where it tells me to go here, Pepperware Logs mapping generator, logs, and then this one is file to DB. Oops, I made it big too quick here. You can see that this has this long file name here, but I need to find this long file name. Usually the easiest way is just to go date modified, and I can find it just like so. Today is the 21st. It looks like it only generated, let's see here. So this looks like the most recent here, 4:14 p.m. And as soon as that opens, you will see an HTML-based output of the file that or the database and the file that was just verified. It will look something like this. Unfortunately, this computer is a little slow today, but as you can see, it's showing failed and passed runs here. So if I go here, you can see all of the different formats. This is what your report will look like. You can go up to the top here, and you can filter on pass fail. If I just want to see the failures, I can do so. And I can look at them and I can see why they're different. If I want to see all of the passing ones, I can do so. And you can see here, in this particular file, there wasn't a whole lot of data. However, the output is all there, and it will show you pass-fail for whatever your test run is. So that is pretty much the extent of our file verification. As you can see, it can be very useful when it comes to making sure that all of your data is clean, avoiding HIPAA violations, etc. And it is much faster evaluating file to database. If you wanted to do a database migration, you can immediately take a new mapping document and you can just set it up to run against a new database and immediately do test verification. You can verify medical claims with this. You can verify anything in a standardized file to make sure that the data is accurate. It's very flexible in how you use this, and that is pretty much the utility of our data framework at this time. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I thank you very much.